everyone, today we'll be talking about retirement plans. So if you'd like to generate some income for yourself while, in your retirement age, still leaving a legacy for your beneficiaries, then this is for you. So, this is an idea that does not compromise on your current standard of living, meaning that you can spend whatever you want to and still leave enough for your beneficiaries. So the idea here, there are two ways to do so. One of which is distribution, meaning that you maintain the same capital. For example, you leave $1 million in this retirement plan, for example, and upon, maybe even 20, 30 years later, you will still have 1 million or more. So this is what distribution does for you. And of course, the other way is actually decumulation, where you actually burn the capital and eat your capital while you're still alive. And usually this is used for, individuals without any beneficiaries to give to, right? So the idea here is that imagine you have one whole cake on your own and you can eat about 70 to 80% of it during your lifetime. And your beneficiaries still inherit one whole cake for themselves. So this is what retirement planning does for you. And this is the idea of generating income for your own use, and you can leave really much more for your loved ones. There are two ways that we can go about this. First way is through traditional retirement plans. And so for these plans, right, is that it is slightly lower returns. Think of your savings and endowment plans, but maybe slightly higher returns. But of course, you see, these are not so high returns, but they are guaranteed. And that's why they are, there's a trade-off over here. However, there is also the possibility of doing premium financing that can allow you for greater returns. So the idea here is that you are lending some portion, all right, maybe about 2 to 3 times the amount of what you already have, putting 2 to 3 times of the amount that you're putting in, and then multiplying that returns. So as long as that returns is more than the rate of borrowing, then you will actually have more returns. And of course, the idea between distribution versus decumulation is that you choose a smaller payout while maintaining the same capital as your death benefit, meaning that upon passing, you put in 1 million, upon passing, you still get 1 million back. Or you can have a much, much bigger payout, all right, while you eat your own capital. So upon passing, there is, lower death benefit. So this standard kind of plans, yield is not really very high. All right, it just gives you very consistent and and steady returns every month. However, there's also the option of premium financing, where in this case, for example, interest rates are pretty high, you get lower returns, all right, in this lower area. And when interest decreases, right, this smaller area here, you will have much, much more returns. So this is the idea of premium financing, and it's quite a popular idea, especially when interest rate environment is going down. And so the idea of premium financing is to really multiply your guaranteed returns and then later on deducting away the cost of borrowing. So for example, some math over here, if you're making 3.55% per annum, all right, and you actually borrow 3 times upon the amount that you are placing in at 2% interest rates. So in this case, we actually have 4 units of 3.55% that is making growth, which gives us 14.2% per annum yield. And then we minus away what we have borrowed, which is 3 units, right? We have borrowed 3 units, and this costs us 2% per unit. So this means that we have 6% per annum interest expense. And this means that we have created, right, extra growth for ourselves at 8.2% per annum as compared to 3.55%. So this is how we actually multiply our returns, especially during retirement. Another way that we can retire safely is through investment-linked plans, and this is personally one of my favorite ways to do so. Why so? It's because you actually create free assets from a decumulation plan. For example, you have $1 million, you place it inside, and upon passing, you actually get 101% of your sum assured. despite decumulating your capital. So of course, for investments, you have much higher returns, hopefully, right? But of course, fluctuating due to the investments and how it performs, right? It has a fixed distribution rate, maybe maybe 0.06 maybe $0.06 for every dollar of investments or maybe units itself. So that 0.06 is fixed, and then it depends on the unit price that fluctuates. So your net asset value does fluctuate, but your payout still remain quite constant with the number of units that you have. So for investment linked plans, unlike traditional ones, you actually can have full withdrawal liquidity after the premium paying term. For example, you set about 10 years worth, all right, of premiums, and after the 10th year, you can actually choose to withdraw some of the amount, if not all, if you wish to do so. However, traditional plans, they have the very long commitment period, and it's really meant for your lifetime. So of course, at the same time here, if you choose a smaller payout, then your capital won't really move, as you can see in distribution. But if you choose a larger payout where you decumulate your capital actually decreases. However, just to take note that your sum assured still remains as the capital where you have placed inside. So investment plans also have a huge welcome bonus for you to leverage more income, all right? So that, the idea here is that the insurer actually so-called lends you a little bit of money so that you get more payouts. They will eventually eat back in fees. However, it gives you more income, when this income wasn't really meant to be yours in the first place. So it's quite interesting, a concept where you can actually have a little bit more returns, a little bit better payouts than you would have, compared to, let's say, putting in a unit trust, for example. So for investment linked plans, right, some people might ask, what if I withdraw money after the premium paying period? So let us first understand the mechanics of this whole plan. So let's say you start out with, putting $30,000 for 10 years. And at the end of the premium period, you have already placed in $300,000, for example. And the payouts already start since day one, all right? And let's say you just leave it in for another few years, maybe another 4 or 5 years, and somehow the investment value, because of the market and also because of what you have withdrawn, actually falls to $200,000. At this point, your money is liquid, and somehow, right, you need the money, you will withdraw the money. Okay, you can actually withdraw the money. But for this case, we assume that you're not drawing the money, all right, and you just leave it all the way until passing. And upon death, because you did not withdraw any money, the net capital that you have placed in is actually $300,000. And your death benefit will then be 303,000, extra 1%. So the math here goes this way. You have placed in $300,000 of capital. You withdrawn zero, all right? So your net capital is 300K minus 0,000, I mean zero itself, and of course, equivalent to $300,000 at the end. And then your sum assured gives you the extra 1%. Whatever you have withdrawn does not consider as a withdrawal of capital. However, let's say, the same scenario, you leave it for a while after your end of premium period, and then somehow, you need the money, you withdraw $50,000, all right? Now, your net capital actually becomes $250,000 because you have chosen to withdraw 50K on your own accord. However, whatever investment value that has dropped, or whatever amount they have drawn out doesn't contribute to the decrease in net capital.